But Ivan needs to answer this question because Michael was on the wing. Why was I on the wing yet Mujiria was the winger? Mujiria, when you watch this, please answer that question. So Michael ran over me, but it was later tackled. And when I got up, I kid you not, I thought I was bleeding from the eye. I was like, yo, why are we scrummaging with kiddos? So we went to the side where the girls were, thinking that we would get, A level, the girls would get scared and whatnot. Hey, we're pushing with all of the girls. Like, yo, that's like the. And then one of us said, and I won't mention names, but one of us said, "What's wrong with these girls in these MTN dresses?" That shit got us in trouble. And the one, Debo Angoyo Joel, in his S4, I think at the time, yes, rammed or knocked a Mwiri guy right in front of me. And Anguyo got up, very okay, walked away. The Mwiri guy had blood coming out of his ears.
Oh.
I like, you know what?
This is not for me.
It's not for me. Meanwhile, you need to understand I was a very, very tiny boy.
On another episode of the Fat Cats Rugby Podcast on a chilly evening here at the Gardens, Nigeria. Another opportunity for us to bring you candid rugby conversations. My name is Ruben Kihumuro, and here with another distinguished gentleman. This one is particularly very interesting because I have some stories. But if we are to go into introductions, of course, former KOBS captain. He has been, of course, also the most valuable player in Uganda Rugby. The year is 2014. And also he was part of the Rugby Cranes, among other distinguished honors that he will be perhaps telling us. You know, sometimes we tend to leave out a few things here and there. But welcome to the podcast, Mr. Oscar Bakojja Kalyango.
Thank you, Robin. I'm pleased to be here. I think it's been a long time coming, but we're finally here.
Yeah, we're definitely finally here. My first question to you. Why are you so scarce on social media? Are you a spy? Do you work with CID or CIM or something? Because I tried to dig as much information from you, but it's like you don't exist. What is the whole point behind that?
Well, I do. I think I'm on most of the platforms, but I am there to see what other people are doing. But my life is, I think, personal to me.
Yeah. Okay. So besides all the rugby, who is Oscar outside what people know in rugby?
Oscar is a married man.
Okay.
Oscar is a family person. I come from a very, very big family headed by Mr. Richard Bakojja. I'm also a marketer by profession and soon to be also chartered procurement professional. Yeah, so in terms of life and work balance, that's me. And then also a former rugby player enthusiast.
Okay, so now that you retired, what are you doing with yourself in regards to rugby? Are you contributing to the sport in any way, or you're just focused on being a fan? You know, sometimes we are so fixated on wanting to be players, but there's the other side of being a fan that is also very, very interesting if you give it some time.
Being a fan after you played, I think, is one of the hardest.
Yes.
I think it's safer to stay playing than become a fan because it gets very, very, very frustrating, the emotions and everything. But I can't say that what I'm doing right now is also a contribution to rugby in a way. Yeah, but I'm a fan of rugby. I'm there at local level. I'm a cob. I bleed blue. Though I'm not a creep. I'm part of Uganda, the larger group of Uganda Rugby is, I'm ready to die for Uganda Rugby.
And the veterans have been recently playing. Why aren't you featuring for the veterans, man?
I think the only difference would be, for me, maybe I didn't avail more time, but again, it's, I think they called vets. I think when they call the legends, I will participate.
Okay. We hope to see you very soon. But anyway, about the podcast. Of course, through some of the other members of the Fat Cats, we get some feedback here and there about the podcast from what your thoughts are. Generally, what is your impression of the podcast, and what has been your favorite episode?
Fat Cats. I think you change the game in terms of the player-fan interaction. Is something this platform has done really, really well. Although sometimes maybe you turn out to be a bit partisan, but
Partisan in what way?
in a certain way. But then that aside is, I think you've done well. Especially that engagement was never there. It was, and if anything, is particular fans had their own engagements and everything, but this brings the rugby sphere together. So for me, it's I look up to episodes and everything, but I think one of the most entertaining ones is I think there was one of Scott, very entertaining.
Yeah, George Scott had a very good, good story.
The one of Marshall was also a rather interesting one. Michael had a one. Then there was the one that was Helter Skelter by Ivan Magum.
Yeah, one we will definitely get into later. But of course, looking at how things have happened. First of all, of course, you talked about being married. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Which is ideally part of what you'd call the template cycle of an athlete in Ugandan rugby. That you start off as a budding youngster, maybe from university or still in university. Then you find yourself transitioning into a senior player within the club. Maybe you get into national team endeavors as well. Then you find yourself maybe meeting a special someone, and then now you get into marriage and of course the job responsibilities, and then having to balance all that with rugby. Do you think in any way marriage contributes or impacts or affects being a rugby player in Uganda?
Yeah, I think it does, but it's situational. So, or could I say it's relative? I mean, different marriages have their issues. So, I've seen players grow after they've gotten married. Then I've seen guys take a dip after they've gotten married. Why? Because it's you're no longer dealing as but you have other challenges or responsibilities that you have to deal with, and then rugby ceases to be priority. But I think marriage should not really, destabilize. I think at that point you're even much happier, much more settled. And then if you decide to focus on the game, you should be able to.
Because when you look at it, and you look at maybe some of the informal surveys that have been done, many of the people that choose to get married somehow fade out or get out of the rugby space. We're not seeing a lot more of Justin Kimono. We're not seeing a lot more of Daudi Semwami. We're not seeing you retired. I don't think it was because of marriage, but so those things sort of coincided. So in a way, people can say that rugby and its lifestyle especially are a single man's sport. Do you agree with that?
No. I have seen guys play at high level while they're married. I mean, the legend and the GOAT himself, Alan Musoka, has done it over and over again. A couple of other guys have done it. I think Adrian Bukenya did it as well. So many other people have done it, but then also these other guys. I mean, responsibilities. People handle responsibilities differently. So when you get married, maybe you now think, let me focus on work and family, raise my family and whatnot. So, because rugby in its own way is taxing.
Yeah,
'Cause
true.
What would have been family time, you then have to give to the sport.
Yeah.
So you then have to make a decision in there to.
We were talking to one of the Fat Cats, Caesar, sometime back. Also recently got married, and he tells us a lot about his experiences. And for us, some of the guys who are still remaining on the streets,
On the block.
we are maybe learning one or two things here and there. But for you, generally, how has it been now? Especially looking at a person who has grown up through rugby and the lifestyle in rugby. How have the changes been, and how are you adopting to that?
Okay, one is at the point I stopped playing. I had a life before marriage, and then marriage happened. Last year in December, I got married. And I think I'm having a moment of my life that I didn't think I would have right now in terms of happiness and companionship. Having someone to you can engage with on a daily, and someone who when you have a rough day will pick you up. Rugby used to in the evening after a rough day, but you had to pick yourself up before rugby picks you up. Otherwise, you'd be knocked out. So it's about the same thing, but only that it's more subtle on this side than it is on the rugby pitch. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, aside from all the rugby, all the marriage rather, when you were playing, I know one of the things we always talk about on this podcast with the different guests we have is the balance, work or rugby life balance, and try to look at things in a way that when you were playing and then you were working at the same time, how are you according time to everything to make sure that you're still productive on both fronts?
It will get tricky, and first of all, it also is so much determinant on the job and how your expectations at work, and then from the club at the rugby club. So you find that I'll give you an example. 2014, the team that was called for Commonwealth Games. The initial team that was called, I was part of it. And I remember the first meeting we had was Chadondo upstairs. What is the VIP area right now?
Yeah.
Coach K was there, Mikey, Toli. So they engaged us on what the expectations were from us. And one of them was that training was going to start at 6.
Yeah.
I was working already. There's no way I was going to. Now, if training starts at 6, you're up at about 4:30. Then about 1 hour, I was staying somewhere in Entebbe Road, so for me it was a bit of a distance.
Yeah.
At that point, I knew that I was not going to make it, and I remember I walked up to Coach K and Mikey and told them, you know what, thank you for the opportunity, but I don't think I would not be able to make it. I don't want you to call me out. I don't want to train 2 days and not come for the rest, because I figured that morning training, by the time I get to work, I'll be dozing. And where I was is I had to be fully alert 3/4 of the time. So yeah, so it's also a very tricky thing, but it also depends on your work. But then also when it comes to education, I am not saying that rugby is in itself a bad thing.
Yeah.
But especially for guys who become stars during maybe uni days, you tend, more often than not, most of them tend to give up or slack on school, and then you find your friends are done, you still have retakes and whatnot. So my advice would be, if you're at uni and you're rugby, or whatever the case is, these trips, the national team and everything, you're still a young man, a young lady, you'll get there. You focus on the first things first, and the priorities right. Education is very, very key.
Okay, yeah, that's a very, very good piece of advice. But yeah, of course, thanks to our partners, Nile Special, for the opportunity to make sure that these conversations come to all the viewers and all the listeners. And also special thanks to this wonderful space by, of course, the Gardens Nigeria. They have a lot of things going on. And of course, as you can see in the background, we have the UG Rock Festival that's coming up. And of course, there's the East Africa Meat Carnival. That is also happening. The October edition is happening this Saturday, but we have been talking about it a lot on our spaces, on our social media, just to make sure that you enjoy Utake music and also you enjoy a different aspect of East African meats from across the different countries. And so you come with a friend, come with someone. It's better enjoyed when you're in company, good chibozi, good beer, and also make sure that you enjoy some good meat. So make the East Africa Meat Carnival and Gardens Nigeria your place to be this Saturday. But also, if you can't make it for the October edition, look out for every last Saturday of the month for the East Africa Meat Carnival, among other things. But also they have weekly themes as well. Some of them being, of course, the quiz on Tuesdays, the reggae on Wednesdays, and the rock on Thursdays, among others. And you can check out their social media for a lot more. But anyway, now jumping into the rugby, of course. Your background. You have featured for Makerere College, you have featured for Namilyango College. But where did all this start for you when it comes to rugby?
I have a very, very, very interesting story. So, my rugby began in the Great College, Namilyango College, and this was 2003. But my first experience with rugby is I think I saw never to play rugby.
Why?
So I vividly remember, I think it was a week after orientation. And, so the schools league at the time was happening, and it was Namilyango versus Mwiri. And they won Debo Anguyo Joel in his S4, I think at the time, yes. Rammed or knocked a Mwiri guy right in front of me. And Anguyo got up, very okay, walked away. The Muri guy had blood coming out of his ears.
Oh,
I like, you know what?
this is not for me.
It's not for me. Meanwhile, you need to understand I was a very, very tiny boy. I was very chaotic, but very tiny. I like, you know what?
As all tiny boys are anyway.
I like, you know what? Let me go and try basketball. So when I joined basketball, there's one guy I can never forget. It's called Jethro. I forget the other name, but it was called Jethro. So when I get on court, I had my very, very nice, very, very brand new Nikes. Jumped onto court. So anyway, the elder guys come. They're like, you know what? Give us the ball. While I'm walking off, like, yo, help me with your shoes. Just for training and whatnot. Yo, up to that way, seen these shoes. I like, but now these guys are bullying. So in between us, just there, it's just a kid just living through. Yeah, but then there was that tradition where S1s have to play the S2s.
Yes.
Which is a very, very big game.
It's a big game.
It's not like the game has so much skill going on, but you'll find
organized chaos.
Organized chaos. So you'll find from S6s and everything.
Yeah.
So guys are there to ideally identify the probables. And we had a game, and I was the number 9. Like, but you see, this I can play this game. The number 9 is never really tackled. At least the rugby were playing at the time. All I had to do is pass the ball. The squeeze you, for me, it's not my problem. I'm not about to tackle. I'm shielded. So then jumped into in the third term of that term, the guys who were in S2, who were the Innocent Asimwes, Kamanyire, the Oraculars, had a game against the guys who were in SMAC. The Meshus, the Double O, Oscopio, Chanowera, Humphrey, a couple of SMAC guys. So that day, I don't know for what reason, Olakira was not available for their team. And then I came to watch the game, and then guys had no number 9, so they asked me to play 9 for that day. And yes, we won by 1 point, if I remember well. Yes, we did. So those guys from then took me in as one of their own, even when I was in a class below. So every Saturday morning before the cleaning and whatnot that would happen on college, they would wake up, where Mackay and Doyle were, and were in the industrials.
Oh, yeah.
So they would walk down and pick only me. Then we had to go and run the Kinder Hill. And they would also make teams and put me in one of their teams, and I had to play with them. So I think from that point I started learning. But like I told you, I was a guy of being around. So then the guys in Nanguyo's classes, God rest his soul, the late Kagezi, also picked me up and kept on training me. OJ Ogwang was also a brilliant wing at the time. Then also the Galabuzes. When they came in, they taught me a lot. Edmond, Etiquette taught me how to perfect my left pass. Although his is not even as good, but he's the one who taught me.
Somehow when you talk about age grade rugby, Etiquette's memories just springs up, whether it is in Budo, whether it is where.
Etiquette was something else. In school, Etiquette was something else. He was a special person.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is one of those particular memories for you in Amiliango that will always stand out in regards to rugby?
While I was there, or
while you were there?
While I was there, it's a sad bitter moment for me. That I remember it was the last British High Commissioner Sevens. I think I was.
Was that 2005?
Yes, I think. Yes, my history. Yes. So in the final, it was Nameliango Bodo. And Bodo won. But for some reason, we felt like we had been cheated. At that time, I was playing for Tigons. But of course, the final is going on. You have your big boys, but we felt like we're cheated. But when you look back, guys had really squeezed us. So in that chaos, after the game, the final whistle, me and Asaba, I've walked this rugby journey with Asaba by my side. So me and Asaba go onto the pitch, trying to cause chaos. And guess who we zeroed down to?
Who?
Eric Botime. That guy was that height and size in his S6.
Man, some guys
This is 2005.
Some guys have been big their whole lives, man. It's very unfair.
That is Eric Botime. So what happened is we are there shouting, abusing Budonians and whatnot. The guy grabs us, like kneel down. This is a guy, even if we had decided to run away, he would never found us anywhere. But the guy was so big, Eric was fast. Yeah. So like, now running, that would not even make sense. So what do we do? In your own yard, in your own backyard. We knelt down.
You mean Asawa with all his swag, he knelt down.
There's nothing like swag. Hey. But as you know, so the scuffle was calmed down and everything. It was nothing big. It was just kiddos trying to cause chaos, but nothing really happened. And then Eric later tells us. Meanwhile, he goes and does other things, but we're kneeling. Because Eric was very scary, if I tell you. So, but anyway, later he tells us to leave. And as we leave, I remember Asawa told me, you know what? We'll get there. I also have to squeeze a Bodonian in their own backyard. Did it happen? I don't know.
It did, I think, in there, yeah.
Yeah. So, but that is for me one of those moments on college while I was a student in college. When I left is when I got back. There was a 7th circuit when I was the Macquarie College captain when we came in, and then I think we're playing Go.
I think that is one of the first times I saw you. Now for us, we had just come into the mix. We are kiddos. And I see some guy in Marcos, Kalyango. He used to be at Namiriango. There, yeah, what? He was a bad guy.
As I've always been. But, we were playing. So the guys who were on the team at the time is, when I was there, I don't want to disrespect them, but for lack of a better word, they were nobodies. So there's this one, Nsoboga. It's called Nsoboga. It was the number 9. So the guy breaks the line. I'm like, let me kill this guy. And you know where the fun sits?
Yes.
So I go for a kill. The guy sidesteps me. The school goes wild. I turn to go for another kill. The guy finished me. The whole school just went wild. So for me, those are the two moments I remember rugby in Namilyango. Then also, the other one I would relate to is after, for the longest time since I joined, we had failed to win the 15s.
Yes.
Then in my S3, when I was a sub to Walakira, we won it back for the first time.
That was 2000. I don't know.
Fredo's Fred Mudola's first year, because 2002, yeah, it was 2005. Sorry,
Yes.
2002.
That was what I was going to say.
Is the Edmonds, I think, lost to Chambogo. Then 2002 we lost to Smack. Yeah, we lost to Smack. Hey, it was Alfred's beat us. Yeah, beat us like it was. Alfred flying this side. You have Eric Butimi. At that time, there was a guy Lule. They had the guy called Chaze. Guys were just flying. Our guys are there on our side. We had Doni, some guy called Domimpanga. Guys were big, but the guys actually had the skill. If I'll be honest, is the Smack team was skilled as the team of 2002 was more of aggro than it was skill. Yeah. So then the year after, we got it, and I think had it for over 5 years.
Yeah. So how did the transition to Marcos happen?
So after my S4 is my parents didn't want me to play rugby. They in S3 I knew I was not going to come back to Namilyango, so they really asked me to work for a school that didn't have rugby. But funny enough is when I joined Makerere College, I knew the rugby was there, but my parents didn't know because it was not as big.
Wait, your parents were trying to fight you playing rugby?
Precisely. So I joined Makerere College, and in my, I think, second term, I was named captain. But then that transition was very, very, very very monumental in my life, I would say, because I left Namilyango as a number 9. But my first coach in Makerere College was John Musoke. And but you, in my VAC, I was training with the KOBS.
Yes.
KOBS box and whatnot. So I think I picked up some level of aggression that I took into school. And John was like, you know what, this team's lacking in a center. You have the aggro, you can tackle, you can try and run through guys. So can you try out center? At that time, let me chance it. So yeah, John Musoke introduced me to playing center.
Okay.
Yeah, that time I had not even decided. Okay, maybe up to the end of my career, I never really decided whether I was a 10 or whether I was a 12 or 13. But then right after he left, and then I remember in my S6 when I was captain, we had a game against Namilyango in Chadondo. And Namilyango had been beating everyone crazy. Now, we had no coach. I was the coach player. My mates, Barasa, because Barasa knew what rugby was and everything, so he was also helping me. So you would find one moment you're in the park, one moment you're in the line. Wherever there's damage, you can patch up. I had other friends from Namilyango that had never played rugby, but now were in Marcos. We convinced them to play rugby, the likes of Kato, Lutaya. So
it's so fascinating when you talk about that. Even in our year, there are some guys who are my very good friends back then. Never, ever even played touch rugby. But A-level, they didn't come back, and they went to, I think it was Ndeje or something like that. And I heard that the guy was a god in Ndeje, rugby god.
Yeah, I tell you.
So I was like, what?
I tell you, yeah, it's to see. when you go to Makos, because even the rest of the team, guys from Bodo and everything, is most of them had not been actually. Maybe they played, but they were not very active.
Yeah.
But when you get here, is you all you have. And at that point in time, rugby in Makerere College was an A-level game. We rarely used O levels. So yeah, we played in Chadondo at Namilianga. Well, I think before that the list score was 50. Then against us it was 10-0.
Full time.
Full time, and
Okay.
then that game was crazy. I was going against Kajina, then Musaja Gulanyago almost killed Chimundo that day. So then later,
Yeah.
I think the next week is Pirates took on Makerere College through Anthony Chinene. Yes. So from at that point is now you need to understand is the rugby I was playing was Namiliango centric. Now I have to adjust because my coaches are teaching rugby, but a different play of rugby
Yeah.
that I didn't know. But yeah, so that was the transition. It was I had to learn a lot, and now remember I'm playing center. I'm also learning on Jobo. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a transition which I think I enjoyed.
Okay. So aside from all the rugby, a person that has come from Namiliango, single sex school, mob rowdy, what, and all the lifestyles that were in Namiliango, then you have to go to Marcos. How was that transition in life like? You're in, I don't know if you were in hostel or why you were commuting.
I was in hostel.
How was that like? Girls every day, not like the functions that we would have on the weekend.
That one. That one was crazy. So, you come from, boys' life and everything. So, you would have like 2 sets of uniform, but there's that one for functions. Keep it clean. Waiting to go for looking neat. Then you had that one which you would bump for the week.
Yeah.
You only wash on Saturday. Enter Makerere College. Every single day is for washing. You have to be neat and smart. I like you know what. No, first of all, is you need to understand, and I think out of coincidence is me, Barasa, and Kato, who are in the same year from Namiliango, ended up in the same cubicle. So I'm like, wait, but you have to balance. After classes, you have to go and play rugby and whatnot, but you also have to wash. You have to iron. So we would pay guys to do that for us. But you really had to be smart. You wake up, polish your to stay shaven. You have to look neat. There is not our
How about things at the canteen?
Yes,
at Namiliango,
we got in
it was
trouble.
all about the meat pies, the sumbis, whatnot. I don't know what the spending was like the other side.
But the Makerere College canteen had a broader menu than it was in Namiliango. But we got in trouble in our first week. Why? Because we were coming from a culture that had a lot of respect for elders.
Yes.
If you are an A level and you go to the canteen and go, guys would.
I remember there was even
They
in
would create
Namiliango there was even an A-level side.
A level side, yes.
Yes.
But even if an A level came to your side, you would have to give him way. Like you're all scrummaging and whatnot, but you'd give him space, he buys and goes. Now we go to Makerere College. I think it was like day 3. What? The canteen orientation week.
Yeah,
the
swelly.
It was survival for the fittest.
Yeah.
The culture in Makerere College then was everyone is equal. You're all students. You because in Namiliango it is your cohort is your cohort. You don't know anything above you and below you.
Yes.
You just deal with your cohort.
Yeah.
Well, Makerere College was a community. Everyone was the same. So I vividly remember at the canteen, I was like, why are we scrummaging with kiddos? So we went to the side where the girls were, thinking that we would get, A level, the girls would get scared and whatnot. Hey, we're pushing with all of the girls. Like, that's like, And then one of us said, and I won't mention names, but one of us said, "What's wrong with these girls in these MTN dresses?" That shit got us in trouble. It got us in trouble, my guy. I think we saw the prefects DC that evening, but they were very understanding when they found out where we were coming from. And I kid you not, at the point we left, I had more friends in O level, S1 across the board. I had to adapt because that was the culture there, and I think it's also a very, very, very good culture to have in life. Yeah. In as much as Nabiliango culture has its pros in terms of respect for elders and everything, but the same was served
Yeah.
on the side of more of equality and all inclusion.
Yeah. I had actually in Emiliango recently, I've started again mixing with the dormitories that you have maybe O levels sharing one dorm again. I think it has changed. It used to be, of course, each class having its own dormitories, but apparently it has changed. But anyway, your fondest rugby memory in Marcos?
Fondest rugby memory. It's. I would say there were two moments. One was during training because we used to train around Impy Skies.
Yes.
Before the graveyard was done.
Yes.
And it was on the other side. So so a couple of times my big head would send me to train with Impy Skies. And so I'm training with the Impy Skies, and there's this one guy who was a beast. I don't know if you know him, Wava.
I've heard of the name.
Yes, Wava is I think he's a pirate. Yeah, so for some reason he grabs the ball and runs towards me. Yo, this guy was big. He was big, and he was not slowing down. I don't know what I did. I just went down. The next time I opened my eyes, the guy's legs are in air. I'm flipping him. And it was a Friday evening, and even the girls had come to watch.
That's rugby.
I went Johnson on him. I'm like, wait, I am Oscar Kalyango. You can't do shit.
That's rugby with girls, eh? I am just lucky I never experienced it, cause But
the other one was that same year in the semi-final.
yeah,
we almost beat Smart in the semi-final. And we lost our composure in the last play because it was 7-5. And the last minute, Kasozi.
Oh, the year of the Kasozis.
Yeah. No, the Kasozis, I think, were a year below us. It was our year, yeah. So I saw Kasozi going for a center post. I almost died. But also, again, it's very monumental in our lives because it's the first time Makerere College had come to the semi-finals. Yeah, because those days, rugby. It's the teams that were playing 15s rugby, schools league, were a different bunch, and then the rest would play 10s.
Yes.
Now, Makerere College had now first, the second year in the 15s, we reached the semi-final. And that is, I think, at the time was the greatest performance that had been.
I think when I hear your story, it kind of resonates with me because I also started off as a scrum half. And yes, I started off, contrary to what people think and the size they see right now, I was also very small. Very, very small. Yeah. So, and the only way to get into that team of ultra big human beings was to find a way to offer them value. So I wanted to be a 9, and that's where I started from. But of course, with time, the only thing that is maybe different between you and me is I also transitioned when I came into club into number 10, and that is where I hovered a lot, 9 and 10, until I also started now becoming a 12, or starting to learn the trade of 12. But now I just want to understand your story now, getting into, you said you've been training with KOBS, but now when does it become serious? Okay, now I'm part of Kampala Old Boys, and this is what it is. I don't know if you had put on some size at that time or what, or you were still, by the time you started playing, it was still typically 9 at KOBS.
I don't know. The moment I entered Makerere College, 9 was normal for me.
9 was normal.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but that the KOBS of that time, my guy, to to get game time. You know, it took. I trained for a whole year, and I was not named. A whole year. You know where training where
did
you know.
did you start with the team that was being trained by Coach Herbert Wafula the late?
No, Herbert found me in KOBS.
Herbert phoned you.
Yeah.
Now the reason why I mentioned that is actually I also trained with Box.
Yeah.
And you'll never, I don't think you'll ever remember this, but we were literally you guys punching bags opposition running
Oh,
into
yes.
us.
Oh,
But me, I joined at the time when Herbert Wafula was coaching
Yeah.
Box. And when you talk about, man, the competition and how crazy it was to even get on the team, all I wanted to do was really play rugby. So that's why I think at a certain point I was like, you know what, let me move to summer camp and play rugby. Yeah, I was like, it's never that serious.
Yeah, the KOBS at that time, you need to
It
understand.
was bush war.
It was bush. Why? Because you find that at the time, the whole backline
Yes,
that was in KOBS was the national team backline,
I know.
and I vividly remember Sama Hamia and John Musoke told me the same thing. They're like, this is my Essex back when I'm choosing a club to go to. Well, mentally I knew I wanted to be a KOB.
Yes.
But because I had history with these guys, John had coached me. He's the one who taught me how to play top, like I told you. And
John coaching you, how did you not join Rhinos?
now this is a time he's asking me to join.
Mm.
I'm like, okay, now, Oscar, you need to understand is there's centers for KOBS. There's Timothy Modola, Tony Luja. There's-
Stamped, signed, and sealed.
these are the national team centers.
Yes.
Bubbling under is Andrew Barasa and Leku.
Yes. Patrick Leku.
Yeah, Patrick
Yes.
Leku. When are you going to ever get game time? I was a bit confused. I mean, I saw my boys going to Rhinos,
Yeah.
and I knew for a fact is they were going to get starting numbers. And here I was not about to. And indeed I didn't. But I remember I told them, you know what, I rather be on bench for the greats than be a starter for average.
Okay.
And I went. I sat on that bench. I'll tell you vividly how hard it was that I joined KOBS 2009, but I played all other games. But there was that Heathens Derby. I always made the squad, but I never get game time. Why? Because they thought I had not matured to handle rugby at that level. Till 2011 is when I first started the Heathens game. All before that is I would be on the squad. Now, I would love it on days when you train, because when the game is done, when you're stretching guys, you're also in them. But so when you cross back to Kampala,
Your jersey can be that.
you look like you played. But that game was such a big game that you had to be a certain caliber player to play it. So,
Yeah.
So and now that is how hard it was to go to KOBS.
Yeah.
Even I'll give you an example. I was on the Sevens national team before I was even a starter in KOBS. Same thing with Edmond Tumsime, the great. That's how hard it was to get on KOBS. You
Yeah.
look at the bench. The bench even had national team starters on the bench. But I think as a person at that time, I knew what I wanted out of it, and I had the patience to learn and grow, because it was not easy, because these guys were at the peak. The ones behind them were just bubbling, knocking on their guys' door. Now for you, these ends, guys at the door for you, knocking from the gate. So yeah, it was not easy,
Yeah.
but I had to fight for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, of course, there is the one big thing about some of these senior clubs is culture.
Yeah.
How did you find the culture at KOBS at that time as compared to what is happening in the club right now?
Okay. when it comes to culture, is there was a culture of accountability.
Accountability.
Accountability in the sense of on and off the pitch.
Mm.
When I joined, I'll give you an example. The excom at the time,
Yeah.
when it's not like they were paying my tuition and everything, but
Yeah.
they required to see my performance at uni.
Yes.
You get, so the accountability in that angle is that for them, if you're in school, you have to do well.
You have to do well.
Then when you're on pitch, you're so accountable.
Mm.
Yeah, it's you're not just here to fill numbers or clown around like your cob. You have to have value to the team.
Mm.
So it was both and on off the pitch is you were accountable for each other.
Mm.
If anything was wrong, you addressed it with someone, and before they address it, is they get to the root cause.
Yeah.
Find out, did you mess up or you are just a victim of circumstance?
Mm.
Yeah.
But now, of course, looking at what you've gone through and how successful KOBS has been over the years, from the time you joined up to a few years back, and looking at where the club is right now, what goes on through your mind from the time you left the club up to now, what you're seeing at this time?
Well, I think it's a thing of leadership. Leadership, yeah. And more often than not, I think people mistake leadership and management for the same thing.
Okay.
I will give an example. In my whole entire tour of duty with the KOBS is we of course had highs and lows, and at the time, one of the leaders at the time asked us, called a group of senior players, and he was very, very honest. And this is what he said: guys, we are in a pickle right now. We don't have any money. There's no probable sponsor. We have a league coming up, but I also need you to deliver. You're not going to have allowances.
Mm.
You probably on the weekend, if a fan or a group of fans buy you a drink or so, please take it with heart. But the whole entire season, you don't have anything. But I really, really request you to give me the best you can. If you can win me this league, and he said, worst case scenario, come second, I will have something to table to any sponsor. I walked through. And he said, you know what, given the situation, in the meantime, in between times, you do your part, I do my part.
Mm.
Now that is, for me, a leader
Yes.
who's telling you what the reality
The
is.
reality is, yes.
Yeah. Go, do this for me while you're doing it. And you know, see, at that time, we didn't have money, but medical was taken care of and whatnot and everything. The other, like, nitty-gritties, of course, we were traveling for away games and everything. That would be a but like, there's no allowance.
Yeah, because I was actually going to ask you now, in the time when the resources weren't as much, how was medical being covered, knowing that rugby is such an intense game?
That one I cannot tell you right now whether he picked it from his pocket or collected. I don't know, but it was available. We traveled and did everything, and now when you, one thing I know about leadership is a leader is leadership is a service.
Yes.
Yeah, and you're serving the people you're leading, so their pain points should be top of their agenda. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
And while a manager has people working for them, so it's his agenda. that is being fronted.
Okay.
Yeah. So, given that background I've given you, is the other person is like, you know what, guys, this is the reality. Is and as much as I'm your leader, but this is our reality.
Yeah.
Let's roll with it. This is our end goal. But on the flip side, where we are right now is I don't want to go into club politics because I want to believe I'm a core member. So I don't want to call out anyone for anything, but my message would be less. When you get into a position of leadership, don't manage guys. Lead them. Have their pain points as your priority, because you're essentially serving them. Yeah. So you cannot be comparing them to your times or any other times. Face the reality as it is and work within the realm of reality that you're facing.
Okay, so when I hear everything that you're saying, and of course that time when you transitioned into KOBS, and then I'm looking at, of course, you having to be an understudy of an understudy at the time, but still having to push it out and make sure that regardless of what happens, you're going to achieve that particular dream of yours or that particular goal of yours. 2014 was a very special year for you. But before we talk about 2014, maybe just quickly help us list out maybe some of the accolades we could have missed at you on any individual level that you got on a club basis.
Club basis. There's Man of Steel. I don't think it's given anymore. It was under the leadership of Adrian Bukenya and Robert Rubanga. There was always Man of Steel. I don't know if it still happens now. I have not attended.
Is Man of Steel? There's something we have been acknowledging on social media lately of someone who has played all games.
Yes, so
in entirety.
Yeah, and I will tell you, wherever you got it from, the idea was picked from KOBS.
Okay.
So Man of Steel was a person who played all the league games and played
80 minutes full.
Yes.
Yes.
And the first, when I was the first person who had it, and then I got it, was Scott had it before me. Yeah, but Scott is confusing. He has been all over. So, but at that time he was in KOBS.
Yes.
Yeah. So after Scott, it was me. Then I also, I would say, the league points scored most in the league. The league record 152-0. I captained that team. Wachimono scored 9 tries. They're supposed to be 10, but they gave out 1. You mentioned Rugby Player of the Year, but I was in the same year I was also MVP. First person to win the 2 together in the same year.
Yeah.
I would say, maybe center at center. I think the season when Justin won top trial scorer, he had 22.
Yes.
Jose had 20, and I had 18. So I would also have the record for the most scoring center for KOBS in one season.
As a player, what would you say was your biggest strength? Would you consider yourself a defensive player or majorly strong in attack?
Now that is a tricky one, because even at national teams, sometimes I was asked to play certain position because they thought I would defend better. But me, I always like to attack. Attack is fun. Everyone knows
attack is fun.
But then
until someone puts a shoulder in your your ribs.
Yeah, but also when it came to the KOBS backline at the time, I was center, but I was as if the slowest. We had Alan Musoke, had the 2 Wakabi brothers. You have Lumu, you have Ijongat, and so Aredo. So when the ball came out, like I'll try my best, but I was like, in any other club I would have been fast, but these guys were fast. I looked slow. So at that point, I like, you know what, I have to be consistent with this. Now, I'm like, you know what, for me, let breaking the line be my work. So
Your work.
yeah, so go forward ball was my thing.
Okay. So 2014 in particular, a year where you said, of course, and of course the records show that you are voted the best player in Uganda Rugby and also MVP. What was the ticking or the switching part of that particular season that really made you elevate your game in that particular level? Were you playing 12? Were you playing 13?
Now, KOBS. In KOBS, I used to play 13.
Yes.
National team, I think I played 13 once or twice. But in KOBS, I was a 13. I only played 12 if we were really depleted and we didn't have numbers. That's when I played 12. But I was always a 13 at club level. So if, just to answer your question, what tickled me to that performance is a one man. It deserves a lot of flowers, but maybe later during the show I'll give them to him. But Michael Gonya, Uganda Cup 2013, Chadondo.
Yes.
Was it semi-final or final? One of the two, but I think it was final.
2013 Uganda Cup, KOBS was playing. KOBS didn't reach the final.
Then it was semi-final.
Yes.
So what happened? You know where the fans sit, where the clubhouse, I would say, is.
Yes.
That stretch. Well, we're already playing on national team together. As center partners, me and Michael. Michael stole the life out of me. That was. No, you need to listen to this. He ran over me the first time. I he got one lucky. 3 minutes later, same position. The guy ran over me. Now the second time was a bit confusing. I remember I talked to, what's his name, Ivan Mujiria. But Ivan needs to answer this question because Michael was on the wing. Why was I on the wing yet Mujiria was the winger? Mujiria, when you watch this, please answer that question. So Michael ran over me, but it was later tackled. And when I got up, I kid you not, I thought I was bleeding from the eye. So I went to Mujiria, like, is my eye cow? I like, there's nothing. There's no blood. They're like, no, go your cow. Like, me, I feel blood going down. It was sweat. Oh my God.
Okay.
Then after the game, when we were clapping out, as I approached Michael, like, you will know who fucking Michael Courage is.
That's what he said.
Yep. I like, hey. My guy, I went back. I've never felt small at Legends. Like, you try to talk about that girl, then I go, shut up.
Man, rugby fans are not very easy people.
Shut up. You go and dial Gonya's number. He has you. Just call him. I like, yo, what happens? Then at the time is Timothy. We had gym membership in Sheraton as national team.
Yes.
So Timothy Mudola picked me up. They're like, you know what, Oscar, I think your strength is a bit lacking. Just give me time, train with me. Let me take you and work on you. But then also at the time is Coach Kaz retired from national team coaching. he kept on being in my ear, like, you're actually good, but you just have to find it in you to wake up. My guy, the next KOBS Rugby game was at Kampala. Yo, did Michael play that game? And meanwhile, that game is I was tactfully managing him. No hits, nothing, but I just lock the laces. Every time we got the ball, I was already locking the laces. But at the back of my mind, I like, this guy finished me. And then, while we're going through that transition, it's also me and Mike are becoming friends. We talk more and everything, we're hanging together. So later, it then turns out I step up.
Yeah.
Now this game is also in Chadondo. I vividly remember the first tack I had on him is Opa gets the ball. Because a lot of coaching I had from Coach Kekasasa is there is a certain way he taught us to stand when you're defending. When you're, you make sure you're on the outside
Yes.
of your defender,
Yes.
but with looking at the ball. Now, while that was happening, is I saw Opa cock the ball, and I knew this is a long pass to who?
Michael.
But because he had pressure on him, I knew it was going to be a high ball. Now, Michael, I think I'd not seen me targeting him. He jumped for the ball. And that right here. And Michael did not have a good game after that. But thereafter, it became hit. The game would then be decided on who hits the other first. KOBS Rugby's games were also, if you ask me, there's a time pre-game analysis was just on how Oscar played, how Michael played. And then later, because you see, Justin was managing Sebuliba and Bisho.
Yes.
One man, those ones they would manage.
Yes.
Now, my work was Michael, and then Red had Philip to deal with, yeah.
Yeah, so of course we have talked about all that stuff, but now, national team, how did that first call-up happen?
So my debut was in 2011.
Yes.
Yeah, but my call-up was, remember Chimono's breakthrough tournament in Chadondo, where he closed out the Zimbabwe guy and so I think scored a couple of tries in that tournament. So after that tournament, we had dinner.
Yep.
And I think the next week, Uganda was going to play Zimbabwe in Bulawayo.
Yeah.
So at the dinner, I was invited to the dinner by Tonchu, who was team manager at the time, yeah. And then at the dinner, he tells me, I expect you to train on Monday. And I thought, okay, I will be there. So I get there, and the assistant coach at the time was Magona. And Magona is asking me, who are you? What are you here to do?
There was that thing. And it's ironic that you actually, Magona is asking you who you are at the time. Now, I want to just track back and remind you of something you probably don't remember. When I was just, I think I'd made this, finally I'd gotten out of high school and I'd stopped training with box and I started training with summer camp. There was that time I was coming out of the dressing room going to the pitch. You know, there was that day, I don't know which day it was it Friday? When, I don't know, it was Thursday or Friday, one of the days at Legends, where I don't know if you guys were doing personal training or it was KOBS training, but me, I was walking out for summer camp training.
It should have been.
Then I had you tell Justin Kimono, now who's this kid now? Yeah? there was this certain arrogance. I had it, but as a small chap, what was I going to do? I was like, man, I was like, am I in the wrong place?
Two things, either I don't remember or I played the fifth. So,
So I'm gonna ask who
yeah, like, and you know, I like to call him Uncle P. Uncle P, it ain't like disorganized thing. So like, yo, are you lost or something? I'm like, no, I was asked to come for training. And indeed, we had a training session on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. The team is named. I was shocked to find out that I was on the team. I had been named. And lo and behold, that's how I ended up. So if you ask me how did I get a chance to the national team for the first time is, and I call him Godfather, the current chairman of the Uganda Rugby Union, Godwin Tonchu, gave me that opportunity. He took a bait on me, so and the rest was history. Although the other fun fact is when we go to Bulawayo, my first position in debut, I debuted as a winger.
As a winger?
Yeah.
Okay, there's some photos I saw, maybe it was later on in Zimbabwe where you were putting on number 12, but as a winger, with what pace, Oscar?
I used to move. You first leave these things. I would get myself around. But
you'd survive.
Bulawayo, the one I think you've seen is my last year of rugby. That was before I got injured, 2016.
Yeah.
Which was in Harare. I think Bisho got injured or something.
Yeah.
Then I got on. Yeah. And also another fun fact, my second game for Uganda against Kenya came off the bench at lock.
At lock?
Yeah.
How was this experience of a backliner featuring at lock? First explain that to me.
One thing is I can never do it again. I would advise anyone not to try it. Because anyway, so what happened is after we came back from Bulawayo, I think it was called Victoria Cup at the time. So we had a few days to train to go to Kenya. And we were going by road. But I was dropped.
Yeah.
But again, Tonchu, like, no, I'll pay for you.
Travel with the team.
And then they're like, you know what, you carry boots, of course you're going to be with the team. You know what, just help them out and let's just keep the team together as they traveled. So when we get there, one of the players, I will not mention, had a medical issue in the night before the game. So we wake up in the morning having breakfast. Me on full vibe.
Chill. Did you
vibe.
even carry boots?
No, I carried boots. I did because I knew like captain's run and what.
Opposition.
Yeah, you know.
Vibes.
Yeah.
Tourists.
Yeah, like you know what
Tourist stuff.
I can afford to sidestep anyone the way I want. I'm not because like they're not going to tackle me because they have a game tomorrow. So when we're having breakfast, is God rest his soul. One of the other assistant coaches, Herbert Wafula, comes to me. I'm like, yo, this I'm not, you know how boys like, these are, I am telling you, but I'm not asking you. It has to be done. I was like, yo, so what's happening? Like, you are going to be on the bench. I'm excited. It seems yesterday captain's run, I shook a few guys only to be told, look, now you need to I've never played in the park. We are in Nairobi. I don't know the moves. I know nothing. So at that time he tells me, you know what, you go for the walkabout with the forwards. Learn the moves from there. My guy, I go. Did I learn anything? Everything was just confusing. You remember, like if it's a guy who has played the position, maybe they could reason it. I was just confused. I remember I went to Captain Fantastic, BOD. Told him, you know what? If I come on, you guys find other jumpers and lifters, because I'm not going to lift. I don't know how to lift. I don't know how to jump. But you put me on this side. The guys were in the line and I try. So anyway, the game starts. I think Scott, who was one of the flankers, that ended up propping. So anyway, they worked it out, and after some time, I think in second half, I got on. First scrum down. Now remember the scrum down calls of those days where there was space. Where you launch.
Crouch, bind, set, engage.
Engage, that thing. Remember there's that engage over guys a bit close, but this one there's space. I was low key.
You felt it.
You need to know what happened. On engage,
Hey.
I was out of the ref called it again. I was out of the scrum down. Meanwhile, I'm having a shock of my life. And then, first of all, the ref had a crazy grin on his face.
Yeah.
Like, what did Uganda bring today? So, anyway, on the engage, they knocked me out. So, when I go back, BOD is telling me, Oscar, push. Just hold and push. I look at BOD like, nigga, you don't think I was pushing? Like, I put my life through it, but that impact closed me. Like, I went past the 8th man, who was Orenyi. I went past the 8th man. But anyway.
But surely, couldn't they have adjusted and put Olenyi at lock and then you at 8 or at flank?
But you see, the thing is, at that time, the flankers were really operating, which Kenya also had a crazy, what is it called?
Back row, yeah.
Yeah. So they had to maintain. So anyway, I went back, tried to manage my own, but for the next 2 days, I couldn't move my neck. That's why I say, if you're not ready, given chance, you'll get caps elsewhere, but don't try to play what you don't play.
Do you remember how many caps you had as a national team player?
Oh.
How many?
I had 21.
21 caps.
Yeah, why? Because in the span of 6 years with the national team, I had 21 caps. Yeah, why? Because we didn't have as many games as guys have right now. Those we didn't have. We'd have like Elgon Cup. Then I think also CAR, what we used to call CAR those days, is it would happen after every 1 year. So sometimes you would play like 2 games in an international season.
Let's talk about player welfare. I mean, of recent there have been so many player welfare revolts or complaints, of course led by former captain Ivan Magom, who's currently on ban. But when you look at what's happening right now and what happened back in the day, how do you resonate with it? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Anything you see that's different from now that was there then, or not there then and that's there now?
Well, when it comes to player welfare, I'll tell you, at least from the time I joined, first of all, I need to ask, is it player welfare at club or at national level?
Let's talk about at national team. Of course, hopefully it spreads down to club, but let's talk about national team.
What happens is if you ask any player who has played for Uganda,
yes,
did they, in terms of welfare, were they taken care of as they ought to have been? None will say yes. I'll give you an example, and I am not saying that the current players have it sorted. But at the time when we were in the national team, I mean, do you think you can have these guys play for 150K? An international game?
No.
Can you have them travel in the Costa to Nairobi and back?
No.
That was our lives. That was our life. Sorry to speak, but that is the reality we dealt with. You're going to play Kenya, you meet in Chadondo, sometimes it's a bus, sometimes it's a Costa. Seated in a bus corridor. 12 hours on the bus, you're in Nai, you play, board it, come back, now train for the next game. The next weekend, Kenya is coming. How are they coming?
They're flying.
Ndege. They're in Uganda.
Did you guys find a way of addressing those issues you guys had?
Oh yes. We complained. We, through our leadership, we put our points forward. Some players, of course, took it to the extreme. I won't name and mention, but then they were also called to order by the rest of the team. And then about towards the end of my career, about 2014, we were flying. We were flying, but also one thing we need to understand is this is a very different generation. Their pain points probably were different from ours. And I think if you ask me, when I compare it to our time, I think that they have it better. The union has not done it all, but they have it better. I mean, guys be sleeping in Monyonyo. We used to sleep in Sports View. Yeah, Sports View here in Chireka. Then was it No View in Tinda? But guys be spending a whole week in Monyonyo. You know what that means? You get so if you ask me to compare, is what we thought we should have had is they have now, but this is a different generation. Their brain points are probably different, but the question therein is how do you address it?
Okay. Do you agree with the way things are being addressed right now? I mean, we've had people complaining about player images, and now we are seeing a lot of AI images being used in artwork. No longer players getting money off their photos being in artwork. It was little money, but it was money. So, but now there is no money for player images. And now also on the other side, how people are complaining about their payments. Do you think it is being addressed the right way?
So there's something I'm going to try and explain to you. It's a theory of path and time. Now, do they have justifiable pain points? Yes, they do. The players' welfare ideally should come number one.
Yes.
The path through which you choose to address it matters. Now, the things is, have you addressed the union? Well, first of all, it's the management of the team. Then the union. And there are things you don't address, that like the very pertinent issues that you don't want to go and address on social media.
Yes.
Because you'll put it there, then the guys will pretend for them they didn't see it. But for you think it's a channel they will have seen. But they will say they didn't see it. How about you formally write to them? And when they don't answer, write back. Have that trail. And these digital things I keep on telling people, it's you get a hard copy. Because you know the email, anyone could say, no, we didn't see it, or we've just seen it, or we'll address it. But if I take your physical copy and ask you to stamp received, you get. Then let's go through all the conflict resolution measures before we go to the extreme of it. Can we have an arbitrator, a neutral person who will, look at mitigate and everything before you go to the extreme of I can even sue you, you guys, me, I'm done with you. Why? And for me, I think in as much as the players' welfare, at least from what I've heard, I'm no longer a player, but it's maybe lacking, but in my view, it's better than what we had. But for them, it's lacking, and they're the ones who are there.
Yeah.
Anyway, but how do you approach it? Do you approach it with do or die, or let's sit on the table, compare notes. I meet you. Because you see, even the people you're asking for this welfare, you told you they are doing well. The union. I'm not saying they are not doing well, but I mean, I don't know. Yeah, but you listen to their side of the story as to why it is what it is. Then you tell them, okay, as we believe, okay, if that is what it is, meet us here. Because you're not going to ask me for 3 million, yet I have 1 million. But when you understand that I actually have 1 million, you'll be like, Oscar, give me that 700. Along the way. Yeah, so the timing is right, but the path is wrong.
You interact with some of these players these days
Yes.
to give them some guidance.
No. It's I don't want to look. You see, it looks like there's an agenda going on with the players, and I don't want to be caught up in the middle of anything. But if you came to me and talked to me as a person, I will tell you, you know what, you look at this. But you need to understand, and the thing is to understand is when you're in certain positions, things cease to be about you, and life. And this is one lesson I would love guys to know. You know, my generation and the generation after, we think we're owed fairness. But the realm of reality is, if you really turn, even just in the rugby circles,
Yes.
if you looked back in the books of history, and I'm not talking about the history, just the legends of the sport, everyone who has a page or chapter in that book of history, yeah, were not dealt fair. Life is unfair. You think Alan Musoke had it the right way? Adrian Bukenya? Do you think Soita had the Rujumbas? You think Sogi had it the right way? Or do you think the Magonas had it the right way? Do you think all these legends we talk about? Or do you think even Philip, one of the living legends, has also had it the fair way? And what makes them different is they stood out amidst the unfairness. Because if it was fair, all of us would be in the book of history. Whoever played rugby would have been. But that book is of reality, and the reality is life is not fair. How do you beat it? How do you beat it? I am not saying that because it's unfair, don't stand up for what is rightly owed to you. Yeah? But this thing of expecting I don't think are we semi-pro? Not even semi-pro. We're still amateur. Yeah. So don't compare yourself to Zim when it comes here. What they're doing, don't compare. But ask for better progressively. They cannot move from giving you, say, like it was in our days, we're getting 150K for a national team game. Are they getting 150K?
No.
Progress. Now, the economy has changed and everything. Ask for better, but progress. Don't be shooting ultimatums. Ultimatums, I don't think, is a very right way to address things.
Who was your mentor while you were playing rugby?
I had a couple of mentors, if you ask me. One I will begin with the first person who got me engaged, especially with KOBS, is Fred Modola. Adrian Bukenya did play a very big part. Timothy Modola as well. Ogwete in terms of attitude. He really got me there. My leadership skills that I had, vice captain and captaincy, is all courtesy of Brian Odong, Captain Fantastic. My play on the pitch, very much influenced by Isaac Lutuama, the current CEO, Alan Musoka. Alan Musoka was no nonsense. Like Alan's margin of error was slim to none. So even when you knocked on in training, Alan would shout at you like you lost a game. But he would later come and tell you, you know what you do in training is what you do in the game. Simon Wakabi, very, very, very influential. Like, those are guys who I looked up and mentored me. Not because they really knew me, but I think they just saw this kid was trying to learn.
Okay. Any regrets from your career?
Regrets would have been why I chose to play that third place playoff game where I got injured. Because I had no business. It's not like we're going to win the trophy. But it was on a Friday, played the game, and then I ruptured all my ACLs.
Wow. And you tried to make a comeback, but it was short-lived.
It was short-lived, but yeah, I also say in my comeback, even when I was limping, I won a Uganda Cup, won another one, though on the final I was not there. I played the semi-final. The final I traveled for my graduation in 2019. Then I also tried to come back about 2 years ago. And that's when I noticed, the game changed. Kids appear to disappear. The agility. But rugby is on
a different level.
It's on a different level, yeah. It's moved bits.
In the comments that we had on social media, one guy, the standout comment is one guy called Joel Kalyango says, I remember him in marketing class. Very brilliant man, this one. Do you remember him?
Yes, I joined, I think I did SIM with him, Chartered Institute of Marketing with him. Yes, I think I remember him. Yep. Yes. He's a Pirates fan.
Yes.
He's a Pirates fan. And at that time I didn't know he played. Yeah, he actually supported rugby, but
he's a new fan. He's a COVID fan.
Your words, but I thought I would recruit him into KOBS, but anyway.
I think the KOBS recruitment is still lacking, but that's a discussion for another day. Anyway, my last question to you will be 12-13. You preferred playing 13, but at national team you found yourself playing 12 a lot.
Yeah.
How was that adjustment for you? Like two similar but very distinct numbers.
Yeah. 12-13 is. I would say when I played 12, I had my duty cut out. When I played 13, I was allowed to express myself.
Okay.
Yeah, so at 12 I had KPIs. You need to do this, you need to do that, and that. And we think you're the best person to do it. When it came to 13, I was freelance. If you notice, at 13 I would throw overhead passes, no look passes and everything. That's not something I did at all. It was very, very intentional. My work is to break the line, to tackle. Party done.
Any last words from you that perhaps you'd want people to know, that perhaps you'd want people to remember you by as Oscar Bakojja Kalyango?
Remember me. My the memory of that is when my stats speak for me, and I'll go by them. But one is to the very, very young players is one, have your priorities right. Priority meaning if you're in school, finish school. This rugby, you will find it better than it is right now. So do not dare mix up the two. For the guys who are already there, my humble prayer is in everything you do, especially from the time you're called, now this is our national team, is try and close out the noise. Get into a bubble as a unit. Deliver. I'll tell you, you know, when you have results speaking for you, everyone will join you. But if you have to explain your pain points, I don't know, we failed to win because of this, but you win and say now, if you win and say now, you know, can you imagine we've not been paid this and this? It's very easy to defend. Everyone, life is that everyone associates with a winner. They will come on board.
Yes.
But when the performance is lacking, and then you're complaining, like, but you also don't do this. So for you, what do you want? When you're up there, and it takes time, and this is a sacrifice you're doing, is whatever it is that you're doing today, you're not doing it for yourselves. You're doing it for the guys who are coming after you. Do not think the union is going to wake up and start giving guys 5 million contracts per month. It can never happen. But 6 years from now, maybe the guys will be getting 2 million or 3 million. You're doing it for the greater good of the sport.
Yes.
It's a process. Yeah. So do not think you're going to have disruptions. There are structures that, in as much as disruption is around,
Yes.
and it's a reality we have, but there are certain structures where disruption does not apply. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Oscar Bakojja, former KOBS Rugby player, former Uganda Rugby Cranes player, for you on the Fat Cats podcast.
Both 15s and 7s, you need to mention that.
Both 15s and 7s. Thank you for being part of this episode. We shall see you guys next time. Cheers.